On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself?
Oh, 7 on a good day.
It depends. It's a sliding scale.
Okay, well, you said 7 on a good day, right? What do you think it would take to make you a 10?
What would it take to make me a 10? I guess it depends on the other person's perspective, but to make myself a 10?
Why do you think there are men who travel to other countries to meet and marry women?
Cause pussy is a motherfucker.
Okay. Why don't women typically travel to find men?
Cause dick is more accessible than pussy.
Ooh, okay. What's the best compliment you've ever been given?
That I had good music taste.
Good music taste.
Yeah.
All right, I want to ask you this. Have you ever noticed a correlation between the type of music a person listens to and the content of their character?
100%.
Or not the content, the quality of their character,
I
guess.
would say yes, there's a strong correlation.
Okay, interesting. All right. Who do you think is more romantic, men or women?
Women.
Women for sure. They're into it. We'll be happy. Well, I'll be happy with just some pussy. All that other shit is just other shit. They want the other shit. Hey, do the flowers and the music and I just want to bang it out, give my nut.
Okay.
You know.
What does it mean to be? What does it mean to be romantic?
I guess to be thoughtful.
Okay. So does that mean that women give romance or they receive romance? Like, what do you mean by women are more romantic or?
Well, dang, I would say neither then. I would say neither because they want it, right?
Yeah.
But they can't necessarily most women can't necessarily, don't. Now, I'm not saying they can't. They don't set the mood like in that way.
Why do you think most romantic songs are written about women?
Because women are so beautiful.
You don't want to hear my answer because pussy is a motherfucker. Again.
Okay, what's the most romantic thing a man can do for a woman?
Listen.
What's the most romantic thing a woman can do for a man?
Understand.
What does it mean to be romantic?
More or less compatibility.
Okay. And why
one-word answers.
Why do you think that most romantic songs are written about women?
Unfortunately, I don't think there's as many female artists that focus on that particular topic.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's, again, a stereotypical kind of thing.
Okay.
I think our culture just kind of like dictates that. Man's always losing women, so man's always trying to sing about woman that he said misses or loves. It seems to be like the typical love song.
What does it mean to be romantic?
I think it means understanding the other person's wants and needs and providing.
Okay. Why are most romantic songs written about women?
Are they? I feel like I've heard a lot of.
Do you agree with that, or is that you don't think that's
I
right?
would feel like most romantic songs have been written by women, not for women, but by women. I mean, have you ever heard Jewel?
Well, that's the thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was saying like a lot of Taylor Swift songs are about like like you don't deserve me, stuff like I've heard a lot. Heard a lot of breakup songs.
But I
like
also feel like that has to do with our current times. I feel like if you compare songs from the '90s to songs now, everything about them is totally different. Like it's been all about women empowerment, these last 20 years, whereas the 90s, it was like about don't take my man, watch out, I'm gonna beat you if you take my man. And now it's like, girl, I just found out your man's cheating, let's get together and ruin his life,
If a man and woman, it's a little controversial, but if a man and woman are both attacked in public, who do you think is more likely to be rescued?
Oh, the woman for sure, unfortunately.
Okay, so why do you think women feel so unsafe if they're far more likely to be rescued?
Because usually the guy they're with is a pussy.
Okay.
The woman.
The woman, right? Okay, so why do women feel unsafe if they're far more likely to be rescued by a white knight?
I don't know. I can't think like them.
Okay. How often do you see women defending random men?
Not often.
Right, but you see the opposite, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you think that men are the biggest threat to women, or are they the biggest protectors of women?
There's some cycles out here, so they could be both. They could be protectors.
Well, right, but I'm saying, do you think
threat.
there's one more one than the other? Okay. Do you think it's a man's responsibility to protect women?
Yes, sir.
Do you think it's even if it's just a random woman?
Nah, it depends.
Okay.
You can't get yourself everybody's situation, so that depends.
Right. I mean, if it's your woman, that's one thing. But
Oh yeah, if it's mine, oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but if it's just a random woman, do you think that men are responsible for protecting women?
Not in some cases.
How often do you see women defending random men?
Too much.
You think that happens a lot?
100%.
Women defend men more than men defend women?
Yeah.
Really?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, guys have a sense to cur out, and I feel like women are the ones that jump out especially when they have any type of alcoholic beverage in their system to tell you like, my man this, my man that. Like, all right, you better tell your man to tell me that before you get in the middle of some shit and start some shit you don't want to be in the middle of.
Do you think men are the biggest threat to women, or are men the biggest protectors of women?
Ooh. That's a 50-50 answer as well. I guess you just got to find the right person to be with, because like you're at the wrong person, you're obviously going to be toxic to that person. I'm gonna stick firm on that one.
What do you think is the difference between sexually empowering women and sexually objectifying women?
Ooh. I think empowerment comes from self, and I think objectification comes from others.
Okay. Do you think the sexual empowerment of women in any way contributes to their own objectification?
Yes.
So why is sexual empowerment of women a good thing if it leads to
Because I think
objectification?
it's how you perceive yourself. If you are okay with putting yourself out there that way, and you feel comfortable with the reactions that you're going to receive, then that is where your empowerment comes from.
Okay, but isn't it entirely subjective?
It is entirely subjective.
So how can you kind of like get mad at someone for objectifying you when it really it could be the exact same thing?
But what I'm
it's
saying is,
open to
if you're
interpretation,
mad
right?
at someone objectifying you, then you shouldn't put yourself out there that way. But if you're putting yourself out there that way, you are empowering yourself to receive any reaction that's out there and not give a fuck.
So if you're putting yourself out there, do you have a right to complain if people...
I don't think so.
Okay. Do you think the sexual empowerment of women in any way contributes to their own objectification?
Yes.
So then why is it a good thing if it, produces a bad result?
Because it's the way they do it, the way they present themselves. And then some of them try to flip the script and be like, what?
Do you think women have the right to complain about being objectified if they're putting themselves out there?
That's a tricky question too, because, that's her body. So she can do whatever she wants with her body. But at the same time, don't get mad when you getting those kind of answers.
That's the $1 million question right there.
Right. Well, I mean, don't they look exactly the same?
Pretty much.
So isn't it entirely subjective?
It absolutely is.
Okay, so...
and it's actually a matter of what society wants to label it, because it has nothing to do with individual.
Do you think the sexual empowerment of women in any way contributes to their own objectification?
Absolutely.
So why is it a good thing?
Who says it is? I mean, it could be
a lot of women who basically think that Cardi B making a WAP video.
A lot of people like Justin Bieber, but I can't stand him. So but there's a lot of things out there that people like, but it's all what society wants to label things.
Okay.
And I'm so against that. It's just ridiculous.
Sure. Do you think it's okay to label people?
Absolutely not.
So why do you think that there are some people who get really offended if you don't refer to them with the right pronouns? Isn't that labeling people?
Because a person is smart and people are stupid. That's why.
So would you say it's kind of a subjective thing, like it's just pretty much open to interpretation?
I think it is. I really do think it is, because a lot of women think that they're empowering themselves by objectifying themselves, not really knowing the difference between the two. Because, in the past, if you think about it, if you look at our music, it's very explicit, right? Women, sex sells. Women who objectify themselves, in the term of objectifying themselves, they get money and power, but they're sexually objectifying themselves because sex sells.
So related to that, right, why do you think that there are so many women who love hip-hop music when so much of it is degrading to women?
I think because that's what sells, that's what seems to be cool, that's what the trend is, and that's the only way that they felt that they've been able to empower themselves.
But don't you think that kind of sends a mixed message?
Absolutely. I think it's very contradictory, and I think that's where the line is blurred. And I think that for so long, when you think about the hip-hop culture, you get into the African-American and black and brown people. And for so long, if you go back in history, African-American and black women have been sexually objectified back when you go back to slave plantations to now. So even now, it's evolved over time with them not realizing the history behind being sexually objectified.
So do you think that there's any change or evolution that needs to happen, or?
Absolutely, change and evolution needs to happen. I mean, you have women all over the world that wish they had the power that women in the U.S. and Western countries have. And women in the Western countries, I think that they misuse it. I mean, if you go back to the feminist movement and think about voters' rights, all of those things, we actually have set ourselves back thinking that we've moved forward.
Interesting. Can you elaborate a little more on that?
Yeah, when I say that because if you think about it, women feel like they have to be sexual, they have to be beautiful, they have to show breasts, they have to show skin in order for men to notice them. When so many women back in history fought to be noticed and be powerful figures politically, in the home, to be equal in the home, and just even in politics to be equal, and say with that, that's why I said we're setting us back from what we've gone to, because we should not have to be sexually objectified to be seen and heard.
Why are some women on their period capable of acting cool and calm at work, yet behave irritable at home around her loved ones?
Because their loved ones suck.
That's a fucked up question.
What?
That's a fucked up question. I think to understand that, you have to understand hormones. And to understand hormones, they're not rational. Hormones are very irrational. Like one minute I'm pissed, and the next minute I ate a burrito and I feel much better.
Do you think it's harder for a man to control his desires or for a woman to control her emotions?
Desires, for sure.
So is it more acceptable for women to be emotionally irresponsible than it is acceptable for men to sleep around?
Ooh, that's a good one. But I'm going to go with no on that. It's 50. It's kind of, I was going to say, it's kind of like like falls right in the middle. I mean, fuck. That's a really hard question to answer.
I think it's harder for a man to control his desires. I mean, look at where we're at. This place was built by men.
Is it more acceptable for women to be emotionally irresponsible than it is for men to sleep around?
I think everyone should take responsibility for their actions. I think that, yeah.
Fair enough. Why are there men who travel to other countries to meet and marry women?
Yes, I've seen that. I was actually just in Thailand and I saw a lot of that. I think because there is a power differential when, especially if these are white men coming from Western countries to, maybe, like Asia or somewhere like that. I feel like they maybe feel a sense of like, I have something that I could give you that I wouldn't necessarily be able to. I feel like there's a different standard. Okay. I'm trying to word this. I feel like it's a power thing. I feel like a lot of men go over to these other countries to marry these women because of status.
Okay. Do you think it's okay to judge a man based on his wealth and status?
Yes.
Why do you think men don't typically judge women based on their wealth and status, but women often judge men based on wealth and status?
Because men judge women based on their looks, and we judge men based on what they can provide.
Why do you think women will often give men advice like, just be yourself, or it's what's on the inside that counts, instead of advising men to increase their wealth and status if that's what so many of them are attracted to?
Because I think it depends on the woman. I think not all women are looking for wealth and status. Some women are looking for a genuinely nice man.
Do you think it's okay for a woman to judge a man based on his wealth and status?
No, but they do. All of them do. I don't care, because love can't make your home warm. Love ain't gonna pay the bills. Love ain't gonna do none of that shit, because that love gonna run out eventually. So they looking for stability.
Okay. Why do you think that men don't typically judge women based on their wealth and status, but women will often judge men based on wealth and status?
Because most dudes want to be heroes. Captain Save 'em.
Captain Save-A-Ho.
Okay. Yeah. Captain Save-A-Ho.
And lastly, why do you think women often give men the advice, just be yourself, or it's what's on the inside that counts, instead of advising men to increase their wealth and status if that's what so many of them are attracted to?
Because they watch movies and get brainwashed.
Ah, okay.
It's not real.
Yeah.
They be like, why don't you do the things that, because it's a movie and this is real life.
Why is it considered toxic when friends become users, but it's considered normal when women expect men to provide more than just their company?
Women provide more than just your company versus a friend that's a user? Either one is a toxic situation. You should walk away.
Well, right, but a woman normally expects a man to provide more than just his company.
Because girls don't want to seem like hoes.
Okay.
Wait, did I answer that right? Ask me again? I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to say pussy's a motherfucker.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't want to say it again, but
Okay.
pussy is a motherfucker, though.
Right, for sure. Did you want me to repeat that question?
Yeah,
or I
repeat
can-
it one more time.
Oh, why is it considered toxic when friends become users,
Okay.
but it's considered normal when a woman expects a man to provide more than just his company?
Yeah, because pussy's a motherfucker.
Okay.
Friendships can be different than relationships. Relationships can be business deals. You know, what is marriage if not a contract? I think that friendships are unconditional love, whereas some relationships, not all, some are just contracts, you know?
Men are expected to be providers.
I feel like you are dealing with the wrong women.
You don't think so?
No, I think
that's pretty standard.
I think I'm pretty blessed with the women that I deal with on a daily side, because I would again go about that in a 50-50 manner. Like I see.
Well, it should be 50-50. I'm just saying.
Sure.
A lot of women that I talk to expect a man to be a provider.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, my wife is anti me providing. She would like to be able to be providing, but she knows that she's better at home with the kids. So it's kind of one of those. It's easier for me to provide.
Well, here's the thing. You're married, right?
Sure.
My thing is, there's an expression we have called happy wife, happy life. I think it should be happy spouse, happy house. Far more 50-50, you know what I mean?
I 100% agree with that, and I think that's the reason that I'm happy at home.
I think that's why you have a good relationship. Yeah, of course.
100%.
But I think that there's a lot of people out there who don't, and I like to get voices like you who actually say that, you know, hey, this is working for me, and this is the reason why.
I mean, the reason why is that I took the time and I found someone that I was friends with before I was lovers with. So if you can't be friends and you can't have a full conversation like you're talking to your best friend, then you have really no business being in a sexual relationship with that person. The problem is that everybody jumps to the conclusion that they want to have sex with somebody based on their physical appearance, not their mental demeanor, you know. And I think if everybody took a little bit of time to learn about each other before they had sex, they probably had better time in relationships. I mean, everybody makes mistakes at the same time too, you know. Like, I can't say you haven't been to the bar and haven't made a mistake, but on the flip side of it, like, I'm happy and I'm happily married. So I would encourage people to spend the time with the person, to learn the person, to become friends with the person before you actually decide that you want to be with the person. Because if it is the right person, you're going to be very happy in the situation.
Hey, if you can explain love, I'll call you just as crazy as the rest of them. I mean,
Do you think unconditional love is possible in a romantic relationship?
I absolutely do.
Okay, so why do we have a term called deal breakers?
But I don't.
You don't have a deal breaker?
No,
okay.
sir.
But I'm saying some people, you know, some people do. So
Well, but then again, unconditional love comes from a strong foundation in a friendship first. That has to be there first. So I mean,
So based on marriage, since you brought that up, what is the incentive for a man to get married?
Status.
Okay. Is there anything that a married couple can do that an unmarried couple can't?
100%. A lot of tax breaks. They get a lot of tax breaks.
Okay. Is that tax break worth the risk of a man losing half of everything that he's earned if one day the woman decides that she doesn't love him anymore?
I mean, maybe. I guess it really just depends on his income. If he's making a lot of money and he gets fat tax breaks, maybe it is worth it to him, but I don't think that's the deciding factor. I think, you know, oftentimes people do enter marriage for love, you know, so they don't expect to get divorced, but...
Can you think of any double standards in relationships?
I can think of a million double standards in relationships.
Can you think of a single double standard in relationships that don't exclusively favor women? So if you can't, doesn't that kind of make it a rigged game? Where
It
basically,
does.
Right. So what's the incentive for a man
Well,
to
but-
be in a relationship
well,
when everything
again,
favors women?
Now, see, I'm from Kentucky. I'm from the country, from the South, upbringing where a man's expecting to take care of a woman. That's just expected. That's how we're up. That's how we're brought up. But now the West Coast style of living that I'm more accustomed to now, after being here for 2 years, I see the more even. It's an even playing field where a woman is just as responsible as a man.
Well, right, but is it really? Because at the same time,
There's equal opportunity. I believe it's become more these days than ever.
well, yeah, but let me ask you this. Do you think it's true that women often want equality when it's convenient, when it suits them,
Sure.
but they're happy to revert to traditional roles when it doesn't?
Absolutely.
Isn't that a huge privilege? It's kind of
Well,
having
it sure
your cake
is.
and eating it too, right?
Yeah, I mean, but they also have a vagina and a clitoris. I mean,
well, right. Why do you think gender roles even matter anymore?
they still matter because it's just what's been established since the beginning of time. So we can't erase history. We can't erase what we've been taught growing up in the home. We can't erase what we've been taught in the media, because a lot of people, if you think about our educational system, we weren't taught to be critical thinkers. So people get their ideas of how things should be from the media, right? Also from what they've experienced in the home. So it's really hard for individuals to really change the way that they think if they're not critical thinkers and they think about male, female roles, how those really look, because it has been established throughout time what a male role, gender role should look like and what a female gender role should look like.